But we bought it. We bought it. It doubled. We sold it, and then we came back in at $88 a share on the then stock in 1998, and then it promptly fell to $6. And we began, when it started falling, we bought a little bit more. But when it finally got cratered in 2002, I guess was the bottom in it.
모두가 주식을 던질 때 한 사람은 오히려 손을 벌렸어요. 월스트리트가 장례식을 준비하던 바로 그 회사를 향해서요.
And that was when people thought Amazon was going to go bankrupt. That analyst Ravi Suri, I guess at Lehman Brothers, had said they were going to be bankrupt by the end of the year, and their bonds were going. They had no tangible assets. Their bonds were going down, and so that we knew that wasn't the case, because then they just sold books, music, and video, and there's mostly.
그 한 단어가 그의 시장을 통째로 짓눌렀어요. 밀러는요, 단 한 번도 믿지 않았습니다.
He says, "Oh, the stock's at 100 and now it's 6. How much more can I lose?" And as Peter Lynch said, you can always lose 100%. No matter what the price is, you can always lose 100%. And that was the thing. So, but I didn't think we'd lose 100%, but we could certainly lose 50, as we'd done, a couple times before.
시장 전체가 $0에 베팅했어요. 밀러만 그 숫자가 틀렸다고 봤죠.
Books. And the book business, as you probably know, you can send the books back and get your money back for the books that you bought and held in your warehouse. So they didn't have any problem in that regard. They had some issues with suppliers who were wanting to be paid because they were listening to Ravi Surya, but that was not they had cash flow.
숫자가 무서워 보였을 뿐 회사는 멀쩡했어요. 공포와 사실은 처음부터 다른 곳을 가리켰습니다.
But you saw a cost advantage that I remember you telling me was very similar to the cost advantage that you've seen at Fannie Mae, that was kind of obscured by the fact that Amazon seemed to be losing a fortune, and everyone was saying it's big, and anyone who was using GAAP accounting was just saying, look, this is a disaster. But you saw that it had a cost advantage that sooner or later would be borne out, right?
겉의 손실이 진짜 그림을 두껍게 덮고 있었어요. 그 아래엔요, 쉽게 무너지지 않는 구조가 숨어 있었습니다.
But I would say that the thing was that you first of all you had a business which was clearly the leader and the winner in its space. Now the space is very much larger now than it was then, and it's generating positive free cash.
사실 그 분야에서 아마존과 견줄 상대가 없었어요. 적자라는 겉모습만 걷어내면 격차는 뚜렷했죠.
Flow, and Jeff was as good a decision maker in terms of process of decision making and rationality as I've ever seen.
아마존 주가가 바닥을 치던 그때 그가 무슨 생각을 하는지 본인 입으로 듣기 위해 밀러는 제프 베조스를 직접 만났어요.
This was actually probably close to the bottom. I said, what are you spending your time on? And when I asked him that in 2001, he said the balance sheet. I'm making sure that the balance sheet is, as bulletproof as I can make it because of the recession and the collapsing prices and stuff like that. And in 2002, when I asked him the same question, he said the customer experience.
안 망하려 버티던 사람이 1년 만에 손님을 더 키울 궁리를 하고 있었어요. 위기는 그의 머릿속에서 이미 지나간 뒤였죠.
They didn't have to worry about that. And in any case, I had told Jeff Bezos at the time that I said, look, if you need capital, we still had money flowing into our funds, and we had a lot of firepower. And I said, if you need some money, $100 million, $200 million, we'll buy some bonds from you.
돈까지 빌려주겠다는 건 객기가 아니라 회사를 속속들이 이해한 확신이었어요. 하지만 모두가 그 확신을 인정한 건 아니었습니다.
Yeah, when that was the time when, as you alluded to, when I was on a panel with Bruce Greenwald when he came out with, I guess, the second edition of his book on value investing. And so I was on a panel with Gabelli and Cooperman and Seth Klarman and about value investing. And Bruce proceeded to attack me as not being a true value investor because I own Amazon, and that Walmart was going to put.
전통 가치 투자는 지금 싸고 검증된 회사를 사요. 적자투성이인데다 더 큰 월마트한테 잡아먹힐 회사라면 그건 투자가 아니라 투기라는 공격이었죠.
Action.
I would say that actually the comeback, and not because I came back because I mean, anybody that actually just stayed the course after 08 and 09 and didn't puke out the stocks and get defensive and stuff like that was going to have.
그도 한 번은 시장에 완전히 무너졌어요. 그런 사람이 버티라고 말하니 빈말로 들리지 않습니다.
And I said to you, so is that the key? And you said, no. For me, it's about buying them at a huge discount to what you believe they will be worth.
같은 가치라는 말을 두 사람은 정반대로 봤어요. 그린왈드 눈엔 투기였던 게 밀러 눈엔 가장 싸게 나온 미래였죠.
And whereas with value investors, mostly if they're comfortable with the visible fundamentals, then if the stock price goes down, they don't flee. Or if the company goes into recession. I like these periods because of the tuition payments that I'm giving to the bear market, and it's been extraordinarily costly and painful. On the other hand, it's a much better time to invest right now.
그는 고통이 없는 척하지 않았어요. 다만 모두가 던지는 그때가 가장 싸게 살 기회임을 알았을 뿐이죠.
Yeah, I mean, lower prices, other things equal, are always better than higher prices. If you're actually an investor and you're going to own stuff, for the long term, I would say that there are periods like, this was 08, 09 was like this, 73, 74 was like this, 1982 was like this, 1987 after the crash was like this.
남들이 공포에 내던질수록 그가 살 기회는 오히려 늘었어요. 그리고 이 모든 선택은 결국 한 가지로 모입니다.
But yes, so we've tended to look for things that ideally you wouldn't have to sell because they've hit your valuation target. If that valuation target is moving forward at a pretty rapid rate, then that's great because you can just keep it as Buffett says forever. The kind of business he likes to buy and stick in Berkshire Hathaway.
말뿐인 원칙이 아니었어요. 그는 이걸 자기 인생의 최고와 최악으로 증명합니다.
As I think you've heard me say, when people say, what's the best investment decision you ever made was buying Amazon on the IPO. What's the worst, ever selling a share of Amazon?
그렇게 오래 들고 있으면 처음 얼마에 샀는지는 중요하지 않게 돼요.
I don't like to pay tax any more than the next person does. So my cost basis on, Amazon is effectively zero. My cost basis on Bitcoin is effectively zero.
수십 년을 버티는 사이 주가가 워낙 올라서 처음 낸 돈은 지금 가치에 비하면 없는 거나 마찬가지가 됐어요.
Well, my advice to them is what J.P. Morgan said when somebody said to him he can't sleep for all the money he's losing in the market, and what should he do? And J.P. Morgan said, sell down to the sleeping point. I think that's the answer. It's funny you mentioned that because yesterday.
남들이 공포에 던질 때 그는 회사의 사실을 따졌고 근거가 있는 회사는 폭락에도 팔지 않았어요. 그래서 90% 폭락에도 더 살 수 있었던 겁니다. 지금까지 부자들의 말을 전하는 부자의 말이었습니다. 부자들의 생각이 궁금하다면 구독으로 함께 해주세요. 다음에도 또 다른 부자의 이야기로 찾아올게요.